Hey guys, Justin Goff, Stefan Georgi here. We're going to be talking today about the four biggest mistakes that prevent your offer from converting on cold traffic. To give you a little idea of who we are, if you don't know Stefan and I, so we have a program where we coach copywriters and marketers called Copy Accelerator. A bunch of the biggest direct response businesses online in health, survival, financial, golf, dating, biz op, e-com are in this program, and basically we help them to scale their offers on cold traffic is really what we do, and we do that through a kind of combination of dialing in their ads, dialing in their sales pages, and really getting their upsells working so they can hit the average order value that they want. Quick little note about Steph and I, if you guys don't really know who we are. So I've been doing this since 2005-ish. Have built multiple multi-million dollar companies in the health niche. It was kind of health niche is kind of my main one, and same with Stefan as well. But I also did a good amount in survival, and I've written copy for biz op markets and stuff like that. Yeah, built a bunch of multi-million dollar companies, have written copy for a lot of the biggest brands. Stefan, very similar stuff. You want to give a little intro for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. How's it going, everyone? So, same thing. I started in 2012, so a bit newer to the game than Justin is, but I've had a pretty explosive career. First as a freelance copywriter, and then also as an offer owner. So, just like Justin, I've started multiple uh, health offers, and also in kind of a few other niches, like including coaching and things like that have all gotten to 7, 8, and in some cases 9 figures in sales. Uh, and love talking about copywriting, building funnels, scaling, entrepreneurship, and really excited to be here.
Awesome. So, kind of a quick breakdown of what the stuff we're going over is really based on the fact that Stefan and I have seen inside. I don't know. The slide says 300 different funnels. It's probably closer to 500, 700 by now. We see inside a ton of funnels because we're giving feedback to all the people in our program. And like I said, this is throughout, I don't know, probably 15 to 20 different niches. So we have a very good idea of what works, what doesn't work. Um, all the same principles apply no matter what niche you're in. And all the same mistakes tend to happen as well. So what we're going to kind of cover in this really is the mistakes that we see over and over again. And as you kind of see here, these are a bunch of the niches that we have members in and that we help in. So kind of, like I said, a wide variety. Um, and as I mentioned before, really the main focus is getting the offers scale on cold traffic. And the big reason why cold traffic is so important is really if you can convert your offer on cold traffic, if you can get it to scale to 200 sales, 500 sales, even 1,000 sales a day, um, it's basically like kind of turning on a money faucet, as Stefan would say. You have something that's working, uh, and it really doesn't take much more to scale it. Like it's not like there's any more effort on your part to go from 20 sales a day to 200 sales a day. But that's really what brings in all the new buyers. That's what builds up your email list. That's what makes you way more money on the back end. And once you can scale on cold traffic, it's probably the most amount of freedom. It's the most amount of revenue you're going to generate because uh, you have control over the customers. Unlike, I don't know, if you're doing organic SEO or if you're doing affiliate marketing, stuff like that, where you got to rely on everybody else. When you're actually converting the offer yourself, you have a lot of control. So, Steph, anything you want to add to that?
I think that sums it up pretty well. Yeah, it's also just a lot of fun to scale on cold traffic. If you've never really scaled an offer before, and to have those days where you go from maybe you make like a couple $1,000s in a day to suddenly you make 10,000, 20,000, and then 60,000, 100,000. I've had $500,000 days before, and it's a lot of fun. Whether you get to 500,000 or even at, like, I used to hit refreshing at 20,000. I was like, oh my God, like I $20,000 in revenue in a single day. This is the craziest thing that's ever happened to anybody ever. But the point is, it's fun, and to Justin's point, it really is something that you're able to do. It's not really that hard, I guess. There's just certain things that you need to do, and there's certain mistakes that you need to avoid. And so that's kind of the purpose here is giving you at least the top 4 that we see. And if you can kind of avoid even one of these mistakes, it should really help you to have a better chance at scaling on cold traffic.
Yep. So let's dive right in. Mistake number one, Um, Basically, you have a mediocre offer and not a highly appealing offer. So this is one that actually kind of took me a while to learn because in my head, I was always pretty good at coming up with highly appealing offers. But once we kind of started coaching other businesses, uh, we had a lot of people who were bringing offers to us where copy would look good, upsells would look good, ads would look good, and it's not working. And it's like, why isn't it working? And it really comes back to this. It's like people just simply don't want the offer bad enough, and no amount of copy jujitsu and average order value boost and ad kind of magic is going to fix that. So you have to start with a real foundation, which is a highly appealing offer. And as we'll see kind of in this, the majority of people actually usually have a mediocre offer, and mediocre offers can only kind of go so far. So we'll dive into that a little bit. This is kind of like what I just said. Most people think they have a highly appealing offer, and it's really just mediocre. So if you're on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most appealing, most people's are probably like a 5. When you really want something that's more like an 8, 9, or 10. Um, so one of the issues here with an offer with mediocre appeal, and I know Stefan's had this issue, I've had it, a lot of the people we coach. If you have a mediocre appeal offer, it never quite gets over the hump. So like you're just testing it, testing, and it's always like so close to like breaking even on cold traffic or hitting whatever metric you want to hit. But it never can like keep it up consistently, and you can never actually like really scale it. And it's one of those things where it's like 8 months, 12 months of like trying to get this thing over the hump, and it just never gets over the hump. And sooner or later, you kind of got to face the facts that it's a mediocre offer, and it's just not going to get there. And you kind of retire it to your email list and use it as a back end offer. But the big issue there is you just wasted 8 months, 12 months worth of energy, resources, employees, everything trying to get this thing going, and it didn't get there. And honestly, you'd be better off if you just put the offer out and it bombed, and then you could just move on to the next one instead of kind of getting strung along for 8 to 12 months with this offer that's never really going to get there.
Yeah, it's like the Silicon Valley kind of like fail fast thing they talk about. It's really the same with your offer. You actually want what's funny too, and just for people who are earlier on, a word of encouragement is like people, I think sometimes put off launching their offer and they try to make it all just right because they're kind of afraid of failure. And so they're like really trying to get the formula correct, or they're tweaking the copy. They're doing all of these things. And it's usually almost always better to just launch the offer and kind of see how the market responds to it. Because if it's a total bomb, you kind of know like no matter what you do, it's going to take a ton of work to potentially get it to where it needs to be. And then there's a good chance it won't ever get there. And like Justin said, you'll waste the next 8 months, 12 months of your life. And that sucks, and it's depressing. I don't know about you, Justin, but I've met like people at masterminds or events who have a mediocre offer, and they tell you how they've been grinding at for 2 years, and they just can't quite, get it over the hump. And you're like, dude, I really wish you would just stop that and start from scratch. Because you could, in a month, you could launch a new offer that all of the friction and resistance is gone. So, it's good to fail. Like not every offer is a winner, and that's totally fine. But you'd rather find that out in month 1 or month 2 versus, now this defines your life for the next, year or 2 years, and you end up just kind of broken, miserable as a result of it.
Yeah. One thing I do want to add as a caveat to this, most good offers though do not work right out of the gate. They're not going to, like if you spend $1,000 on ads right away, it's not going to bring back 1,000 or more on ads. Like a lot of the best offers I've put out, maybe I spent $1,000 on day 1 on ads and it brought back 500. And then after a bunch of testing with dialing in kind of like the hook and the headline and getting the upsells dialed in and stuff like that, then I got it to the point where it really worked. So really when you're putting that offer out, you're looking for potential more than anything. Like if I put it out and spent $1,000 on ads and it brought back $100, I'd be like, it's probably never going to get there. But yeah, you don't want to cut it too soon though. I just want to make that caveat.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So kind of what I said, when you have the mediocre offer, where it just has like a mediocre appeal to it, no matter how much you tweak the copy, the price, the funnel, the offer with mediocre appeal is never going to convert on cold traffic. And like I said, it's because it's built on a flawed foundation. So your customers simply don't want the product bad enough. And like I said, no amount of copy jujitsu and all that stuff with your upsells is going to make up for that. Here's a really good example of this. This was shared by Perry Belcher, a digital marketer with one of their survival products. So they run a bunch of these free plus shipping offers online, and he showed the actual conversion rates, and these are straight from Facebook ads. One is a credit card knife, so it's like this little credit card that looks like a credit card, but it actually has a knife in it. And this other one is a report about basically how to like get your own rainwater and turn it into for a survival kind of situation. Um, I bet when Perry and them were running the water report as a front end offer, they thought it was a pretty good offer. So it's converting at 2%. I'm sure they were running traffic to it. This is the difference between a highly appealing offer and a mediocre offer. There's nothing Stefan or I could do copy wise on this water report to make it convert at 14.5%. Just inherently, people see this credit card knife and like want it. And that's really what you're looking for with a highly appealing offer. Something that people just deep down they want way more than anything else. And that's why you see it has, I don't know, 6 to 7 times the conversion rate. Yeah, pretty crazy. I got another example here too. Whoops. So my friend Dave Sinek runs a company called Paleo Hacks, where they do a bunch of cookbooks in the paleo niche. They crush with these free plus shipping offers on Facebook. They usually do somewhere around 300,000 to 400,000 sales a year on these cookbooks. One of the things that's really interesting is, so these are 2 of their cookbooks. Paleo Sweets has been selling for 3 or 4 years. I wrote the copy on it right now that's still running. I actually wrote it for them. Paleo Plenty was a new one that they tried to put out last year. It's kind of I would call it like a Bon Appetit, if you're familiar with Bon Appetit magazine, where it's kind of like really like foodie recipes, kind of like highbrow type stuff. That one they put out and it's just not doing well at all. And they haven't been able to fix it. They've had a couple copywriters take a shot at it. It's just really not working. And I was telling Dave this, and he was kind of asking my opinion on it. And I basically broke it down to him saying, Paleo Plenty is really built on a flawed foundation. It's just a mediocre offer. It's not appealing. And I basically told him, I was like, Paleo Plenty will never outsell Paleo Sweets. And he was kind of asking me why. And I said, because when you look at it and boil it down, cookies, cakes, ice cream, and brownies are infinitely more appealing than fried okra, acorn squash, and fennel chicken. It really gets to the heart of what the people in the market want. And people are much more interested in tasty desserts than they are in the recipes that are in the Paleo Plenty book. And like I said, no amount of copy jujitsu or changing the headlines or changing the lead or running new ads is going to change that. So that's I think a really good example of the difference between a highly appealing offer and a mediocre offer. So mistake number 1, just to kind of recap. Like I said, this is probably the biggest mistake. You have to start with a highly appealing offer. And really when it boils down to what a highly appealing offer is how bad do people want this? Not how much do they need it. That's a big mistake a lot of people make. It's really about how much do they want it. Because what they need is not usually what people want. I mean, people need chicken and broccoli. People don't need 4-layer cake, lava cakes, and ice cream sundaes, but that's what they want. So big thing to keep in mind. Honestly, if you just took one thing away from this presentation, you truly just kind of understand this principle. It'll help you when you launch any new offers.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Pop this up here. Perfect. Let me actually make sure we get the presenter mode for it. Perfect. All right. So mistake number 2 is that you're not going deep enough with your research. This is something that the copywriting framework I have is called RMBC, which stands for Research, Mechanism, Brief, and Copy. And there's a reason that I lead with research. Research is really the most important thing for developing any offer. And definitely when you write the sales copy for it, and really for all of your marketing in general, whether that's the Facebook ads or your email creatives or advertorials, whatever it may be, research is really crucial. I want to show you guys kind of an example. One mistake that Justin and I see a lot, right, is that business owners and copywriters assume that they know their market. And so they skimp on research. We see that all the time. But what happens is like when you assume that you know everything, you miss out on these incredible insights that could make or break your offer. So, for example, say you're in the health niche and you're like, oh, I know why women want to lose weight because they want to feel more confident and wear, bikinis during the summer. And so I'm just going to write copy about that. Or if you're in the survival space and it's like people want to, be protected during a collapse. So I'm just going to write copy about that. It's like, sure, those are reasons why people will buy products in those niches. But when you do research, you uncover these incredible gems and these awesome, unexpected things that will then give you a lot of insights that really help you to dial in your offer even more. So one example of this that I use is if you look at, say you're going to sell like a home security camera system and you're doing it direct response. So with a long form sales letter, or maybe like, kind of direct response Facebook ads to a medium size e-com page or medium length e-com page. And you ask kind of like, why does somebody buy cameras for their home? Right. And what you end up getting a lot of the time, if you just ask a room full of people, this is that it's to prevent burglars from entering, or burglaries, or that, it's to keep, for security, for protection. Right. I mean, that's what people answer a lot of. But if you actually do the research, what you find is that there's some really interesting additional reasons why people are buying these cameras that you may have missed out on if you didn't actually do your research. So let's look at what the actual buyers of a home security camera system have to say. The first thing I would do here is I would go to Amazon and I'm going to find one of the best selling products. So in this case, there's this Blink indoor home security camera system with motion detection, HD video, blah, blah, blah. But I see, okay, it's got 5,197 customer reviews, 1,000 plus answered questions, which is also interesting. But it's a popular product. Lots of people are buying it and it has tons of reviews. So I'm like, great. When I go to the reviews and I see all these reviews here, what I'm going to do is I only really care about the 5-star reviews and I care about the 1-star reviews. But for now, let's focus on the 5-star reviews. So the reason I care about the 5-star reviews is because those are people who love the product. So if I'm doing research, if I'm going to sell a similar product, I want to know, okay, well, I'm looking at my competitor and my competitor's product. When people bought my competitor's product, what is it they really liked about it? Because in my copy, my messaging, everything else, I want to speak to the things that people liked about it and be like, we have this too, only it's better. So we want to find that stuff out. So if we go to the 5-star reviews, we'll see some of these coming in here. I took screenshots of them. If you're shopping around for Wi-Fi cameras for your home or business, you've come to the right place. Buy these. We purchased these a couple of times. The first time we went on vacation, used them to be able to peek in at our dog who is being cared for by family members, blah, blah, blah. Next one. This is from a different one, a review. I must warn you, if you're someone obsessed with your dog's happiness like I am, this will make you feel bad because you'll suddenly realize how much time they spend doing nothing, waiting for you to come home. My dog looks so bored most days. Poor thing. Here's another one. My sister's boyfriend bought the 3-camera Blink system and was bragging about it over how great it is. This one gets cut off. But basically, we figured we'd see our pets running around the house all day, but instead we ended up, they sat around waiting for us to get home. Now onto the review. So they left a review, but they're talking about how they ended up just watching their pets all day. And another one, we use this to keep an eye on my 85-year-old father. If he falls while he's at work, he'd be laying on the floor for up to 9 hours until someone came home. This way we could see the hallway and kitchen area, so if something does happen, we can see. The live view is good because if there isn't any motion for a while, we can view and see those areas are okay and then call to make sure he's all right. We'll probably get another one for the living room area where he spends most of his time. And I think this last one here said, maybe one more after this, but I wanted to keep track of my foster dogs for training purposes. It's perfect for that. And then this one here, we bought this mainly to monitor our new nanny. And so, right, these are all reviews I pulled from the first 2 pages of Amazon. So it's not like I didn't have to dig through to pull and cherry pick examples. These were just the first 2 pages of 5-star reviews. I pulled all of those excerpts from it. And what they tell me, right, is that one of the biggest reasons people are buying these home security cameras has nothing to do with burglars or break-ins or employee theft or all the things that I would have just probably assumed if I didn't do my research. But it has to do with being able to keep an eye on their pets, right, and their parents and their babies. And so by knowing that, right, what are the implications? Well, if I'm a writer, like, or you hire a writer and they just assume to know the pain points of the market and don't do the research, there's a huge risk you're going to miss out on one of the biggest selling points, and it could have led to significantly increased conversions. And even more interestingly, if I was the offer owner, after I did this research, I could develop an entire promo around pets, right? I'd be like, I could do a whole version. Say I'm already selling a home camera system and I'm already doing decently well with the home kind of anti-theft angle. Perfect. But now if I want to expand my sales and go into an entirely different market demographic, I can take my same product and develop an entire promotion around keeping an eye on your pets and your pet safety, pet security, things like that. Maybe you can find a story, which I'm sure exists online, about some owner who lives in the country got an alert that there was a fire in their house, saw the dog was barking frantically but couldn't get out. Because they got an alert from the motion detector feature, they checked the camera, saw the fire, called 911, and saved their pet's life. Like that could be an interesting story, and you could find that, tell that story, and be like, stories like this are happening all of the time. That's why you need to have like a home kind of camera system in place, so that you're able to be aware if those horrible, unthinkable moments when things go wrong. So as to where I do my research, it's really just a couple of places. Honestly, it's like Amazon, and I'm looking at the 5-star reviews because I want to see what people love about my competitors' products. And it's the 1-star reviews because I want to see what people hate about my competitors' products. The people who are in the middle and kind of like wishy-washy, I don't really care. Like love and hate. And then honestly, the other thing is forums. It's just like there's so many great forums about everything. And you can see people talking and sharing about their problems and their pain points and what's going on with them. And they almost always overshare. And I put news articles, but honestly, I don't even use news articles that much. It's really Amazon and forums. That's it. And 3 more reasons why I really love, research, why I'm a research fanatic, is that if I'm using forums or reviews, I can use the prospect's own language to talk to them, right? So I can pull an excerpt from a forum, the way somebody's talking about their relationship with their dog, and I can take that and copy and paste that almost into my sales copy or my ad or my advertorial or whatever it may be. And I'll also understand their real pain points, not the ones that I've assumed. And then third is that I'll really get to understand what they love and hate about existing solutions. If I'm looking at 1-star reviews and 5-star reviews on Amazon, then I kind of get a clear picture of what they are really liking and not liking. And I can differentiate, I can compliment what they like and say, oh, mine's better than whatever they like about my competitor. But I can also differentiate the things that they dislike and talk about how my product doesn't have the problems that the competitor's product has. So yeah, that's research. And Justin, I'll let you hop on to mistake number 3 here.
Cool. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
All right. So we'll hop into, whoops. All right. I'll let you chat for a second while I get to the appropriate slide.
I really think what's funny is having my RMBC like thing, which is like this isn't a sales pitch to you. It's like I've got a training we teach in the mastermind. I have like free trainings. I just talk about it a ton. And so a lot of people have been exposed to it. And again, it's this framework for writing sales copy. And the whole framework is awesome. But so many people just like feel like research is their favorite part because they just were never actually going deep enough and truly understanding their prospects' pain points. And as a result of that, you just find that they find once they actually do the research, their conversions improve dramatically. And I really want to emphasize the power of being able to take what your prospect is saying on forums and reviews and literally copy it and then paste it into your promos and copy. I mean, you can take it word for word. If someone says, it felt like 1,000 daggers in my heart every time I put on slippers because of my diabetic neuropathy, and you're selling a, neuropathy healing product or whatever, you can literally say, it felt like 1,000 needles. You can just completely take that language. So I really want to emphasize how important research is. And again, ads, everything else, it's awesome. One last thing, I see you've got it up, Justin. When I'm looking at forums, I just want to tell everyone, I generally am going to go and I sort by the amount of replies, not the amount of views. So I'll go in and you can usually sort right by if there's like a bunch of forum topics or a bunch of threads in the forum, and you can do it by views or replies. I do replies because I want to see not just what had a good like sort of subject line or headline for the forum topic, but that I want to see what people actually were responding to and being triggered by and communicating back and forth on. And so I want to find the forum things that are most interesting. So that's really a nice little hack that I use when looking at forums as well.
All right, let's jump into mistake number 3. So your offer is all about the features and benefits, and it's missing a big idea. From what we've seen and from what we've kind of noticed with our own offers and from watching other people, offers that are really all about features and benefits, they'll work on the back end, meaning if you mail them to your email list, if it's kind of your offer to your own email list, they'll work there because that's obviously like very warm traffic. But they're not going to work on the front end to cold traffic. So we'll look at a couple examples here. So this is a sales page for a sinus product. Nothing wrong with this copy. It's actually very solid copy. It's very well written, but it's also very just features and benefit oriented. Let me move this over. So I'll just read a little bit of it to you. So, and if your body never settles down into deep sleep, you're sure to feel groggy and in a fog when the sun comes up. You might have tried over-the-counter sleep remedies, still with no results, or you tried carving out 8 hours, buying that special pillow, and playing your white noise machine religiously. And yet, here you are again, struggling to get some shut-eye with nothing really working. Trust me, I know it's maddening. You're at the end of your rope and still tired all the time, feeling like you're dragging day in and day out, or missing the things you're too tired to do. Who wants to make big plans if you're tired? And forget about traveling. If you can't sleep at home, what chance do you have in a strange bed? It could be so frustrating you're about ready to give up. Blah, 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 blah. So, like I said, this is the equivalent of like boiled chicken copy. It's just very kind of bland. It doesn't really stir up a lot of emotion. There's no like big kind of overarching big idea that like really grabs you. So that's a pretty big kind of mistake when it comes to copy.
I would say too, real quick, Justin, that on that one, it's like the copy, the actual writing is good, right? Like whoever wrote it is a good writer, but it's like they're just not getting those important elements of emotion, attention grabbing. There's no story, like there's not, it's just missing all of those elements. So that's the thing. You can be a good writer, but still have a pretty bad, boring lead. So you have to really be conscious of that.
Yep, it doesn't really connect with you on an emotional level.
Yeah.
So then we'll look at this one, which is for a skincare offer. Just look at the headline and the lead here. So, how a woman's crumbling relationship with her daughter just uncovered the radiant DNA secret to erasing 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes. That right there is just so much more powerful than anything we just read, because it has all kinds of story in it. It's got drama in it. It's got a huge promise in it. There's just a lot going on there compared to what we just read, and emotionally it hits you and it's super intriguing. So you want to keep reading here, whereas before it's kind of like, you're kind of on different wavelength. So I'll keep going on this one. This is like further down the page, where it keeps telling the story. So basically this woman and this daughter are having an argument. The daughter, basically her boyfriend broke up with her. And you can see down here in the copy, it says, Jake says as women get older, they start to look like their mom. I said nothing. And he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life with me if I end up looking like you, which obviously is like a heartbreaking, kind of shocking story, that any woman would resonate with, having her own daughter say that. But this story, while also controversial, sold like crazy. This was like probably one of the top skincare offers for the last like 2 years. And it's because of the story more than anything. It's a really good big idea. It's an emotional story, and it grabs you, unlike feature and benefit copy, which, like I said, is kind of like boiled chicken. So kind of going back, the sinus one we showed was really feature and benefit oriented. The lift factor one, big idea and compelling story. So kind of the big point to remember here is the feature and benefit offers will work on the back end. They will work definitely to your house list, to your email list, but getting them to work on the front is really, really, really difficult. And the majority of the time, they're not going to work on the front end. You really have to have that big idea, and you really have to have a compelling story if you want to have an offer that's going to scale on cold traffic.
Perfect. Let me go ahead and share on my end again here. Oh, that's where it's funny. After my screen had disappeared previously, it you know, a second here. I'm gonna stop sharing, doing the same thing you did. All right, let me go back to presenter mode here. Perfect. All right, and our last mistake we want to talk about is going to be that you haven't tested enough headline complexes, and I'm going to explain what I mean by headline complex in a second. But basically, you know, if the lead isn't going to be dialed in, then your lead has to be dialed in, right? If it's not, you're screwed. And if, you know, that's the case, then your headline definitely has to be dialed in, because the headline's the first thing that people are seeing. So if, you know, you've got, the only point of a headline is to get somebody to then read the first line of the lead. And the point of the first line of the lead is to get somebody to read the second line of the lead. And this is the same thing with ads too, right? Again, if you've got an ad that you're running on Facebook, or email copy, and like with a creative email creative, a subject line, like the headline of a Facebook ad, the subject line of an email, the whole point is to get somebody to, like, you know, keep going, to read more, to read the body copy, right? And then from the body copy is to get them to click and take action. But we're never going to get them to click and take action if, like, our headline sucks or the lead sucks. So, you know, you've really got to test some different headline complexes. I want to share with you guys a checklist I use for creating and ranking strong headlines. There's 7 of them total here. So curiosity, it calls out a pain point. It promises a solution. There's specificity. There's simplicity. There's credibility and addressing skepticism. And there's a time frame to achieve results of the promise when you're able to do that. Not every headline is going to have all 7 of these, but a lot of the best headlines will have several of them. So I really would encourage you to kind of use the 7-step checklist as you're writing headlines, whether that's for, again, ads or a sales letter or whatever else. For example, write that lift factor headline that Justin just showed you. Let's look at that again. So how a woman's crumbling relationship with her daughter just uncovered the radiant DNA secret to erasing 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes. Discover how you can smooth out wrinkles, lift dark spots off your face, and make your skin more beautiful than ever, just like these women. And so again, when we talk about the headline complex, what I'm talking about is this headline plus this sort of subhead stuff here. So you can kind of get away with squeezing in more than just that one line. Some people think that their headline has to be like 4 words, like erase 20 years of aging. And it doesn't. You can actually get a lot of copy. I learned that from studying John Carlton's headlines, who was one of the best headline writers ever, in my opinion. So, right, great headline. Let's look at it like curiosity. Yeah, woman's crumbling relationship with her daughter, radiant DNA secret. Calling out a pain point. It mentions a crumbling relationship with daughter, wrinkles and dark spots. Promising a solution. Yeah, it says to, you know, erase 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes. And then what about specificity? Well, again, 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes. It's not saying erase 20 years of aging in just minutes. 7 minutes. It's more specific. And it's not just erase years of aging in minutes. Erase 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes. It's much more specific. Simplicity, 7 minutes, right? It's only going to take me 7 minutes to erase 20 years of aging, and I'm worried about that, then I'm going to at least be intrigued. It doesn't really address credibility. It doesn't really address skepticism or provide credibility. You know, it could if it said like, this woman to discover this doctor's radiant DNA secret. You know, if they'd done that, then it could have included, maybe add a little more credibility, I guess, to it. But again, time frame to achieve the results that are promised, right? 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes. So awesome. And like Justin said, that offer did very well. It's actually still running. But let's compare it to the original headline, because my team created this offer for a client, and here's the original headline we had here. It said, "Doctor's ancient facelift could rapidly erase 5 years off your face, helping reverse under eye puffiness, dark circles, and wrinkles, all within minutes of first use." So never mind the fact that the doctor looks like kind of like a vampire. He's kind of a scary looking dude. He looks like when you see the picture of the serial killer, you know, but like at his last job he had before he kind of had his lapse of reality, it'd probably be this guy. But you know, if you at first impression you're like, okay, cool, ancient facelift, that's kind of interesting. You know, maybe at first you don't feel like it's not that good, right? Or it's not that bad, and maybe you think it's okay. But let's look at the difference between the lift factor control versus that original one. So in the control, again, curiosity, woman's crumbling relationship with her daughter, radiant DNA secret. The original, you've got ancient facelift. And so an ancient facelift is kind of interesting, but a woman's crumbling relationship with her daughter for a demographic that is primarily going to be 45 plus women who are the readers of tabloids and who like to watch Entertainment Tonight and things like that. The idea of like this gossip kind of dramatic story, it's just going to appeal to them way more than an ancient facelift because they're not watching the History Channel. They're watching E, right? So curiosity is much better on the second headline. What about calling out a pain point? Well, again, crumbling relationship with her daughter, wrinkles, dark spots. With the control, we had under eye puffiness, dark circles, and wrinkles. So we kind of called out a pain point in both, but I think the big difference is that there's a story being teased here in the second headline about the crumbling relationship with her daughter. What about promising a solution? Well, in the control, erase 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes. In the original, it said rapidly erase 5 years off your face. So, 5 years, okay, like that, I guess that'd be good. I'd want to erase 5 years, I suppose, but I don't really want to erase the years off my face. I want to erase the aging off my face. So when we're saying, 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes, it's a much more specific promise versus 5 years off your face. So it is promising a solution, but the control one is significantly better. And that goes into specificity, right? Erasing 20 years of aging in just 7 minutes versus erase 5 years off your face within minutes of first use. So the control, way more specific. And then simplicity, 7 minutes versus within minutes of first use. Seems like a small thing, but within minutes is kind of like, I don't know. But 7 minutes is very specific. It sounds simple. I can handle 7 minutes. Within minutes seems like it's up for interpretation. And I'm like, I don't know if I can handle that. And again, not really credibility in the control. In the original, we had the doctor, but it just shows you that the doctor isn't going to make the big difference if the rest of the headline is flatter. And then time frame to achieve results of a promise. Again, 20 years of aging in 7 minutes for the control versus within minutes of first use. Way more specific, better time frame for the promise. And here's how the original lift factor was looking on conversion. So I pulled this screenshot, and you can kind of see, when we were testing it, this was when we originally had it going. So, a little under 100 sales, but it's like, okay, this version is going at 0.9%. This version is at 0.4%. Like, okay, not looking like a winner, right? To Justin's point, launching an offer, and it's not like it's crushing out the gate. But then we did like a new headline, new lead, kind of reworked the offer. And then you can see what happened after that. So again, this first picture, this was like in April, the month of April 2019. And then by June of 2019, you'll see that, okay, like, and these are variants of the new one, seeing new, right? We tested price and stuff like that. But it's like converting at 2%, converting at 2.5%. And, you've got about 3,000 sales there between them. So that's the difference, right? Just from having a killer headline, a good lead, like the right big idea behind it. All the stuff we've talked about in this presentation is the difference between launching something and it converts at 0.9%. And it's kind of, maybe I can tweak it. Maybe I can get it there. And you'll just kind of struggle with that versus when you actually dial all these things we've taught in. And suddenly it becomes very frictionless to suddenly get, 3,000 sales, which we do, a $200 average order value normally on health stuff. So it's like whatever that is, 600,000 a month, 7.2 million a year in revenue. And it actually scaled significantly from there and had months where it was doing 10,000, 20,000 front ends in a single month. So yeah, that's it. Those are the big 4 mistakes that we wanted to share with you guys. Justin, do you have anything you want to add? I'll stop sharing the screen and go back to just me and you, stripped down. But go ahead.
Not really. I mean, like I said, we always focus on, I don't want to call these the basics, but they're the things that like move the needle. Like, cause there's 100 different things that could be wrong with an offer that need to be fixed. But whenever someone comes to us with an offer that's not scaling the way they want, we always go back to these 4 or 5 things. And it's like, all right, let's focus on this. So yeah, I mean, before you kind of get rid of an offer or before you put a new offer out, making sure these big kind of what we call needle movers are in line, I think is a very smart thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. And just as a recap for everybody, again, mistake number 1 was having a mediocre offer instead of a highly appealing offer. Mistake number 2 was not going deep enough in your research. Mistake number 3 was not having a dialed in lead. I forget the exact phrasing we have, right? Oh, actually, sorry. Mistake number 3 was that your offer is all about features and benefits and it's missing a big idea, which then we showed a lead being an example of how that gets embodied. And mistake number 4 is that you're not testing enough headline complexes. And you saw how when we switched it up for that lift factor offer, it helped it to take off and have a lot of success. So cool. If you guys have questions, just go ahead and post them, and we'll be around to answer them. But other than that, yeah, thanks for checking everything out. We appreciate your guys' time today.
See you guys.